like how he know the floor what we are. They keep asking now, they just keep asking how. This is what they asking about.
All right, party people, welcome to the program. I am Merle on the move, and I'm live in the studio this Saturday evening. It is beautiful outside, nice and crisp air outside. So let's go ahead and turn up on the show tonight. So I'm going to go over what happened just a few, maybe a couple hours ago. I guess 3 hours ago. Iowa State. Shout out to Iowa State football. They pulled off a great upset today. They beat. I think Oklahoma State was number 1 in the Big 12 because they were 6-0. No, I take it back. Oklahoma. Oklahoma is number 1 because they're undefeated still. But Oklahoma State was also undefeated, and Iowa State beat them here in Ames. Good game, great game. I watched most of the game. The ending was it. Shout out to that running back, Bryce Hall, I believe that's his name. Young man is averaging 19 touchdowns. So he's getting averaging, I think, the last 19 games. He averaged a touchdown in the last 19 games. So shout out to him for that. Iowa State football's doing pretty good. They're 5-2 now. And so shout out to them for that. I don't know if Iowa played today. I didn't check the score on Iowa. I don't think they played today. So that's what's up with Iowa State. They be turning up. It's here in Ames. Big game, like sell out. ESPN, I think, showed the game. So I'm surprised. They rushed the field afterwards and all that. So very surprised behind what happened with that. But shout out to them for that, right? So let's go ahead and talk about what else is going on in sports. Notre Dame is playing UFC. That happened. The Lakers just lost again last night. They are 0-2 so far, beginning of the season. I see some people on social media clowning the Lakers already, and they're deservingly so, right? Russell Westbrook is not really working out so far, but it's still early. I think he'll work his way in. But yeah, Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis almost got in a little spat yesterday on the bench. Because when you're losing, it really hurts. It sucks to lose. It's not a good feeling. So, and it's the Lakers' fault. It ain't like they're getting beat. Because the first game against Golden State, they definitely could have won that game. No doubt. They definitely could have won that game. Steph Curry did not have a great game that game. So they definitely could have won that game. But they lost that game because they didn't play well. LeBron James played well. Anthony Davis played okay. But overall, they just didn't play great. So they didn't win. Yesterday, it's no way they should have lost that game. But they did. I don't know how to fix it. I think it's the lineup. I think the coaches got to coach a little bit more. But I believe the Lakers will be okay. And we'll be getting me a LeBron jersey. So we'll move on past that. The Rams play tomorrow. They play the Detroit Lions. So it'll be the first time the Rams going up against Matt Stafford. Going up against the Lions with Matt Stafford, going up against their old quarterback, Jared Goff. So that's going to be very interesting. The Lions haven't won a game yet this year, I don't think they won a game yet. So I think the trade is great on our side. Got me an Aaron Donald jersey coming in the mail, so I'll be looking forward to that. Yeah, man. I got the eggshell color, I think it's called, something like that. Shout out to them Rams, baby. We're doing it this year. I say we're going to Super Bowl. I don't know, but that division we in is rough. Man, Phoenix, undefeated. The Phoenix Cardinals. Let me get a little history lesson on the Phoenix Cardinals real quick. Phoenix Cardinals used to be the St. Louis Cardinals. Before they were the St. Louis Cardinals, they were the Chicago Cardinals. They were not good in either city. They were not good in Chicago, I don't believe. I didn't follow them in Chicago, but they definitely was not good in St. Louis. So they moved to Phoenix. Ain't been good out there either. They go to Super Bowl, right? Kurt Warner was on that team. Shout out to Kurt Warner. But they're undefeated right now. Kyle Murray is playing great ball. They got great receivers. They got a good running back. The defense is good. They got J.J. Watt. Man, I'm scared. So that's our biggest competition. They already beat us once. Seattle not worried about them. San Francisco can win on any given Sunday, but not worried about San Francisco. The two best teams in the NFC West is the Rams and the Cardinals. They're probably the best two teams in the NFC. I know a lot of people would say Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had something to say about that because they only lost one game. And that some people say that the Dallas Cowboys would have something to say about that because they only lost one game. Dallas can now play with the Rams. Rams would beat the Cowboys Any given Sunday, the Rams will beat the Cowboys. Guarantee it. The Buccaneers, we already beat Tampa Bay once. I believe we can beat them again. So there you go on that. Best team in the NFC, I believe, is those two teams: Phoenix Cardinals and LA Rams. So moving on, past that, let's go ahead and then get into what else is going on in sports. Some things I kind of wanted to talk about. So you had a big fight that went on not too long ago, a heavyweight fight with Deontay Wilder and the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury. You got another big fight coming up real quick. It's going to be my man Terrence Bud Crawford from Omaha, Nebraska. And he's fighting Earl Spence. I believe that's who he's fighting. So I'm definitely be checking that out. I think it's going to be a good fight. Is it Spence he's fighting? That might not be Spence he's fighting. I'll take that back. It might not be Spence he's fighting. I think he's fighting some other guy. I can't remember the guy's name. Anyway, I'm looking forward to that fight. That's coming real quick. Anything else in sports? I'll talk about basketball real quick. They did the top 75 players, right? Because the 75th anniversary of the NBA, they did the top 75 players. And a couple players left off: Dwight Howard, Kyrie Irving. Kyrie shouldn't be on there. Shouldn't. He ain't really did nothing. We can talk about the vaccine with Kyrie, how did they set him down. The Nets like, yeah, if you don't get vaccinated, we just won't use you. And he hasn't got vaccinated. He may sit out the whole season. I believe if Kyrie Irving sits out the whole season, he will not play the NBA again. I believe that. I believe if he doesn't play this year, I don't think another team will take a chance on him because of the way that he is. Not because of vaccination, not because he didn't get vaccinated. It's everything else that comes along with Kyrie. That's why. Ben Simmons is definitely going to not play for the 76ers. Showed up with a phone in his pocket, not wanting to play, just want to get his paycheck. So I think the Sixers are going to be done with him too. I don't know. It's a different time. The COVID has changed people's opinion about certain things. So we'll see what happens with that. Anything else in NBA? Let me go ahead and talk about this John Gruden things. I hadn't talked about it too much, I don't think. Yeah, the NFL got some problems. They talk a good game. But if you thought that the NFL was any different than any other sports organization or any other major corporation when it comes to dealing with race, you would be. I think NFL was probably more behind at the times when it comes to racism than any other organization. Look at what happened to Colin Kaepernick. I mean, that's the perfect example. I can't give you any other corporation that has a lackluster response to dealing with racism than the NFL. Colin Kaepernick did nothing wrong. Didn't violate the policies, the rules, didn't get in trouble off the field. None of these issues. Showed up to go to work, all that. Didn't demand a trade, none of that. He took a knee to bring attention to the social injustice that was being done to people that look like him. He chose to do that by silently protesting, taking a knee, the God-given right of every American in this country to protest. That's what he did. He didn't go on a tirade. He didn't go on a television show tearing down the NFL or any or America or the flag or the military, none of that. He took a knee because he knew that would bring attention to what he had to say. What he had to say is he's tired of people, black and brown people, looking like him, just being not given the same fair shake and not being afforded the same laws and fairness as everybody else in this country that don't look like us. That's what he did. And because of that, and because they made it political, and the guy that was president at the time, you know who he is, trying to run again. I'll talk about that in the later show. Because they put that negative tone on that, the NFL, they backed it. Instead of them saying, you know what, let's look into this. You don't suspend him and then not allow him to get back into the league when he was a quarterback in the NFL. He was not a scrub. He wasn't trying to get in the NFL. He was already there. He's already established. Went to a Super Bowl. So, and they still haven't rectified it. Still haven't rectified that situation. They just gloss over it. When it's in racism stuff in the end zone, on back of the helmets, and all that stuff, that's great. That's grandstanding. That has no substance at all. So that's all I want to say about sports. So, John Gruden, you knew who he was before. I mean, you know. You just know. It's just don't bubble up, right? He ain't bubbled up to the surface until he gets caught. Anyway, I'll come back. I'm going to go over some entertainment. I'm going to tell you guys about BMF. I'm going to tell you about the movie Dune. I'm going to tell you about this movie called Dope Sick. Oh, no, not a movie. It's a series. A series on Hulu It's called Dope Sick. It's got Michael Keaton. It's got Rosario Dawson. It's about the Oxycontin epidemic that was going on in the late '90s, early 2000s. I remember Oxycontin. I never food with it or never prescribed any pain meds like that. Never had a surgery. Think not gonna wood on that, right? But I do remember hearing about it. I remember Jack Osbourne, Sharon Osbourne's son, when they had that TV show, The Osbournes on MTV. I think he had a situation with that. So anyway, I'm gonna talk about that. That's a series that came out. Wu Tang. Oh man, I think the last episode is this coming Wednesday. Also, this tomorrow, if you watch Insecure, the show comes on HBO. That comes back on tomorrow. Final season of that. And a few other things I'm going to go over entertainment. That's what I do. Small little movie right back.
My career about to blast like bubbly. I'm not waiting for her to say she love me. I can tell she ain't even trust me. I got a 10-year-old me still like fuzzy. 325 on the dashboard. Riding the Porsche, rocking Tom Ford. I bought out Bernie's new Christian Dior. I took the jet to the New York store. She licked while I'm driving, I'm standing the floor. I took it off track, now I'm riding this boy. You stay in your feelings, you never my boy. I can't come to the hood, I pull it.
All right, welcome everybody back to the program. Let's go ahead and go over this entertainment and let you know what's going on with the situation I was going to tell you about. So let's go ahead and start it with movies and television. So you got a movie called Doom that just came out. I haven't watched it, but I will be watching it. It's an added, I think is it a remake? I don't know if it's a remake or adaptation of the old one. Maybe a change up a little bit. But anyway, so it's got a lot of stars in it. It's got Zendaya is in it. The guy that plays Aquaman is from Iowa is in it. I think the guy that made the movie is from Iowa. Kind of dope, right? I think so, if I'm not wrong. But it looks really good. The cinematography looks good. I think the storyline's good. If you've seen the movie, the old version of Doom, I haven't seen it. I know about it. I don't think I watched it. It came out a long time ago. It looked kind of boring. This one looks good. I think it's like one of those 4D Max or IMAX movies or something like that. So it's probably the best experience to watch it like that. But I won't be watching it like that. So anyway, I'm going to check that out. It's another movie that came out. What else came out? Oh, I got a list right here. Halloween Kills, Michael Myers movie. I have watched that. How do I feel about it? I've seen all of them. Michael Myers is one of my favorite horror villains, right? Jason, I watched him. Scary. Freddy Krueger, watched it. Scary. Candyman, scary. The Leprechaun, kind of scary, right? But Michael Myers was something to me because he was real. Like it was like a real story. Like, cause like Jason, you had to live in a campground, right? You went camping. That's when you got involved with Jason, right? You had to go to sleep for Freddy Krueger to get you, right? And the Leprechaun, come on, it's the Leprechaun. Candyman, you had to say Candyman. Michael Myers, you just had to be related to him, or you had to be around somebody that was related to somebody he was trying to kill. Because he was trying to kill the family members. That was the whole thing. He was trying to get rid of everybody that he was kin to. And it was in Illinois, and I lived in the St. Louis, area on the Illinois side. So it was like, oh man, and then the music. It was just scary, and he just walked and he looked so menacing. But anyway, this movie was good. Kind of corny a little bit. Jamie Lee Curtis was not really in the movie a whole lot. It was kind of, I don't know. It was all right. I liked it. Scary, kind of. Not super great. It's My Hero Academia. It's a cartoon. It's an anime. I should say it's a cartoon, but it's an anime, which is animation. That's out. I like that. That's a really good show. If you want to see that, that's out. They have a movie version of that. A couple other movies out. But I'm gonna get to the TV shows. Oh, the James Bond movie. I haven't seen that yet. Check that out. The guy that was in the villain plays a villain in James Bond. He hosted Saturday Night Live last week. Young Thug was an artist. Well, I played a lot of Young Thug. Young Thug got new music out. Big Sean got some new music out. So, but yeah. So, TV shows. Let me tell you about this TV show. It's called Dope Sick. It's a series on Hulu. It's really good. I think it's like 5 episodes or something like that. It's It's really interesting. As I said, it's following the oxycodone situation and how pharmacy and big pharmaceutical companies really push the agenda. They not only do they push the agenda, they buy and finance advertising for their agenda. And also they show in this series how big corporations can buy out not only the competition, the oversight. Like the people that's supposed to put oversight to make sure that the checks and balances, they end up hiring those people to work for them, so they can manipulate the market and do things they do. Anyway, it's a good story. It's kind of weird how the oxycodone. You gotta watch it. I'll talk about it more next week. You guys watch that show. It's called Dope Sick. It's really good. Michael Keaton's great in it. It's based on true, actual historical facts that happened back then, how they targeted the communities and all that stuff. So anyway, that BMF is still good. I think it ends next week. That's gonna be dope. I'm loving that. And I told you guys, Insecure comes out tomorrow. Entertainment is weird, right? Because some people watch TV, some people don't. Some people watch films, some people don't. But the way that entertainment is evolving and changing into, I'm not gonna say changing into the cyberspace, but it's like everything's on the go, right? Everything, like you got Netflix, you got Hulu, and stuff like that. Back in the day, you didn't have stuff like that, so you have to like set reminders to record stuff, and then they started coming out with these apps and stuff, and where you could record stuff on these on timers and stuff. So a lot of people don't have time to watch televisions or sit down and watch a series, so they binge watch. So it's a show that's on Netflix called You. Now, I haven't watched this show, right? And a lot of people that I know that don't really take time to watch TV, they're really binging on this show, right? I don't know what it's about. I'm gonna have to get into it. I've never seen it. But on Netflix, you can binge, right? You can just watch episode. Hulu, the show I'm watching, Wu-Tang, the series, you have to watch it every Wednesday. It doesn't come out until Wednesday. BMF on Stars, you can't watch it until Sunday. It doesn't come out until Sunday. I like that. I like knowing that, hey, it's Wednesday, I can watch this. Or if it's Tuesday night, I'm like, oh, my show comes on tomorrow. I'm like that. I guess I'm old school. These younger people, y'all don't have time for that. So when y'all get into a show, y'all want to just knock it out. Watch 10 episodes all day, right? Not my style. I ain't feeling that. Something else I wanted to go over too real quick, and I'm kind of lost in the sauce on that. So I'm gonna play another song. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna talk about the Brian Laundrie. I don't even care if I'm pronouncing the man's name right. Y'all know who I'm talking about. The guy that was accused, or we think that might have killed Gabby, and he was missing. And you listen to the show, I told y'all that, he probably in his mom in the basement. Apparently he wasn't, possibly. I don't know yet. But they're saying that they might have found his remains. I'm going to talk about that. His parents led him to him. I'm going to talk about how I feel about that. I'm also talk about what's going on with this January 6th subpoena situation. I'm going to be going on with the guy that worked for Trump. And how Trump's still trying to overreach and say that y'all can't get no information from none of my people. But now the Senate is trying to force people to talk. Bannon. That's the guy's name, right? I think his name is Bannon, something like that. We'll talk about that. How you above the law? If the Congress subpoena you, you got to show up. You can't be like, nah, I'm good. I'm good, bro. Trump said I'm good, man. He ain't the president no more, homie. But when he was president, he said I didn't have to do it, so I ain't doing it. All right, we're going to see what's going to happen about that. I'm talking about that and come back. I'm talking about that guy. And the Democratic lead here, my man Ross, who's a friend of mine, Ross Wilborn, he was he went through a situation where I guess he spoke out against Trump and some people threatening to hang him or something like that. Anyway, Small on the Move. That's local. Hey, shout out to my man Randy. Randy and Cindy, I just got your message, Randy. Shout out to you, my man. You still my guy. Miss you. Love you, brother. Shout out to you and your lady, Cindy. Y'all have a great evening. I appreciate y'all listening to the show. You tuning in, you dialed in. Shout out to my man Cody. I know you listen to the show. Everybody that's tuned in and rolling the move, I appreciate y'all. I'll be right back.
Running, you go. scrub the ground, 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 scrub the ground.
All right, party people, welcome. I'm back here on live in the studio. I'm gonna go ahead and go over the things I wanted to go over in the last segment of the show. That I ended the last segment of the show about, and that is what happened with that Gabby Petito. I'm gonna make sure I say the lady's name right. Her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend or whatever the guy was to her. The police are saying that they found some remains and some items that belonging to him, and I guess they did a autopsy or not autopsy, whatever they do, where they find the teeth or something like that to identify a body, and they're saying it's him. And they're saying the area that they found the young man's body, supposedly the young man's body, it was an area that was flooded and they hadn't been in. But what's odd to me is that his parents led them to this area. His parents led them to an area where supposedly his body was found and his some belongings. A notebook too. They say specifically it was a notebook that was found. I don't know about that. That don't sound quite right to me. And you know, he was missing before they started looking for him for like 4 or 5 days. And remember his parents, if you follow the story, remember his parents went and picked up a Mustang that I guess he drove out there from that area. I remember seeing that on the news. I might look that up again, but I remember seeing on the news that his parents, they showed on the camera, his parents were returning home driving a Mustang, his Mustang. So, and I want to know more about how far, away. I mean, yeah, it's more we got to find out about this. I don't think it's over. That's what I'm saying. Also, I want to go in here. I meant to talk about this entertainment because this was weird to me. You guys know, if you listen to Merle on the Move radio show, you know I love The View. The television show The View, Barbara Walters show that has Whoopi and Joy and Sonny and the young lady from Iowa, from Newton. What's her name? Sarah. I'm thinking Sarah Hines? Sarah. Shout out to Sarah. You need to be on the Merle on the Move radio show. We're here in Iowa. Let's do it. Anyway, so I love the show. I watch it pretty much every day, pretty much. Monday through Friday. So anyway, so I'll bring this up because this past week they've been since I didn't say they got rid of the young lady, but since Meghan McCain has not been on the show, they've been having fill-in hosts. And this week they had Condoleezza Rice. Condoleezza Rice, it's a black woman. She was the first Secretary of State. Black woman Secretary of State, I want to say. I believe that's what her position was. She was Secretary of State. And let me backtrack a little bit. I'm going to get back to the Condoleezza Rice thing in a minute, the View thing in a minute. I meant to start the show off like this because how disrespectful of me, and I do apologize. I want to send my condolences to General Colin Powell's family. He did pass away this week. Great man, great respect for Colin Powell, even though he was a Republican. And I shouldn't say even though, because that has nothing to do with how I feel about the man and the respect level I have it. But knowing that he was a Republican, hey, I have a lot of respect for him. You know what I'm saying? Because, he was the Secretary of Defense for George W. Bush. So Colin Powell, great man. He passed away. Complications to COVID. We'll get into that here a little bit later too, because he had some pre-existing conditions. I brought that up to somebody who's like, We'll get that to it in a minute. But okay. I wanted to get that out. My condolences and rest in peace, General Colin Powell. Now back to what I was saying. So Condoleezza Rice was, I believe, the first black woman Secretary of State under George W. Bush. Also, look at that, George W. Bush had to do the first for a lot of stuff with black people. Shout out to him. And he was a Republican. But back to Condoleezza Rice. This is what I got a problem with Condoleezza Rice. So, okay. Was never a big fan of hers, but this colorism thing, I talked about this a couple weeks ago on the show. It's a little gnat up in here or something. I talked about colorism, but this is the thing. When she was on The View this week, they was asking her stuff about critical race theory. Now go to YouTube, Merlin Move YouTube. I talked about critical race theory on the show a couple weeks ago. It's up there. Check it out. So people gave some comments on that too. But she was kind of coming at Sunny. Sunny's so it's two black women on The View. It's Whoopi and it's Sunny. Sunny's a lawyer, and she's a pretty good host. I like Sunny. She's not my favorite on the show, but I like Sunny. And then you got Whoopi, and then you have Joy, who's a white woman, and you have Sarah, who's a white woman. Condoleezza Rice was coming at Sunny. I mean, she was. You need to watch that. Go to YouTube and see if you can see the episode. She was coming at Sunny hard with like both feet. Anytime Sunny would say something, Condoleezza would like go the opposite direction or counteract whatever Sunny was saying. I mean, it's apparent she was coming at Sunny. And I don't know if that's a thing that black women come to black women, or she didn't like Sunny, or she didn't like some of Sunny's remarks, but she was coming at Sunny, you know what I mean? And her view on critical race theory. Now, Charlamagne the God on the Breakfast Club gave Condoleezza Rice the donkey of the day. He gave it to her on a different reason than what I gave it. Well, I didn't give it to her, but the reason why I think how Condoleezza Rice was coming at Sunny was a totally different thing. I think I was ashamed. I was like, really, Condoleezza? Like, I thought she was like gonna say some good stuff. Like, no, you got a problem with you. You don't understand where you coming from. She tried to say that she don't think that talking about history and talking about black history and talking about the bad things that white people in this country at that time, in that point of history, did to black people and the way that the system is built by white men and it's affecting black people then and currently. She didn't agree with that. Her thing is, you don't have to make a white child feel bad or feel bad for being white because of what white people did to black people years ago. Nobody said about you should feel bad. Nobody said we trying to make nobody feel bad. We telling the truth. If the truth makes you feel bad, it should, because it's horrible. It's horrible what happened. Ain't nobody saying that you are a bad person because white people did bad things to black people back in the day. But if you don't agree and if you can't see and you don't understand that the way that the system is set up is because of that, then that's a you problem. That's not black people being offensive to white people because we want to tell the truth, because we want to see the truth. Because when I was a child in school, they didn't tell me the truth. They didn't teach me the truth. I had to get grown and research it for myself to understand the truth. I thought Christopher Columbus was a good dude. If you go to school as a child, you think, oh, he found America. He did all this stuff. Look at Thanksgiving, which is coming up pretty soon. Look at all this stuff. This dude came from across the ocean, and he was just a nice guy giving turkeys and pies and stuff and having a feast with all the natives. You make you think that Christopher Columbus is a good dude. And he's not. He was a monster. He was a horrible person. History. So if you go by the history they taught me in school, I would be an idiot to the world. I could go to any other country and they'd be like, really? That's what you think of this guy? Did you know what he really did? We have to get past the ugly truth. We should be at a point in history right now where we can say, hey, yeah, that was horrible what happened in the past. But look at us now. Look how great we are now. But we're not. George Floyd just got murdered by a cop a little over a year ago, and they still ain't changed no laws to protect black people from that happening again. Yeah, they still ain't did it. They still ain't changed the laws. The George Floyd Policing Act still ain't been signed into law. Still. Today. It still ain't happened. And we talking about critical race theory because they don't want to change it. They scared of change. They're scared if they change it, that the normal, I guess, not the normal, but the bigger class of white people will lose something. They think they're going to lose something. Because if black people gain some freedoms, they feel like they're losing. What are you losing? People. You can't own people. That's over. There's no such thing as ownership over people. So allow these laws to pass. The John Lewis Voting Rights Act, allow that to get passed. Let's go. What are we doing here? We want to vote. I want my vote to count. Protect my vote. Protect my children's vote. Why are they not passing these protections to make sure that we can have equal grounding across the board, no matter race, religion, creed, your sexual orientation? That should not matter when it comes to voting, Period. Your class, how much money you have, where you live at, should not matter when you're voting. If you're a citizen of this country and you are alive, you should be able to vote. Period. And your vote should count. Pass the laws for the people. Come on now. This is what has to happen. So this is why critical race theory is a topic. No, I don't believe you should be teaching it to 7 years. I don't believe when I was 6 years old, I should have been learning what happened really in this country to black people. But I don't believe I should be getting taught that Christopher Columbus was a good guy and he discovered America and we had Thanksgiving with the natives either. You shouldn't be teaching little kids that. That's a fairy tale. That shouldn't be taught in schools. Okay? If you don't want to teach one, don't teach the other. Don't teach me about George Washington. Don't teach me about Abraham Lincoln. Don't teach me about none of that as a child if you're not teaching the real. Because George Washington owned slaves too. Abraham Lincoln was not nice to black people. He did not like black people. He believed it's separate. He believed that black people should be separate. If you didn't know, read it. Read it. He did not. He was a great emancipator because he wanted to win the war. What do you need for wars back then? You needed bodies. So don't get confused. Don't get confused. I went off on a tangent because I was gonna say back to the View. That's what I was talking about, The View, the TV show. Condoleezza Rice went in on Sunny, and she's not a supporter of the critical race theory. And it's a big topic. I don't even know why. Come on, it's a no-brainer. It happened. Nobody wants to hear the ugly truth. Nobody. If I was a cheater and I cheated on a woman or whatever, I don't want to hear it all the time. It makes you feel bad until you fix it. If you ain't never fixed it, if you lied about something and every time somebody brings something up, like, man, we ain't never got past that yet. You don't want to hear it. But if you did something wrong and you repaired it, when you talk about it, you can be like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I was messed up. You can own it. It don't hit the same. It hit different. It hit different when you ain't fixed the problem. If you did something wrong and you ain't fixed the problem, it hit different when it comes up. It's like, oh. But when you done fixed it, you can rise above it. You can be like, yeah, I dealt with that. That's in my past. That's what America needs to do. We ain't dealt with racism. Racism is the biggest problem in this country. It ain't finances. It ain't the health care. It ain't the global warming. It's racism. Because you can see it. You can feel it. That's the biggest cancer in this country. Matter of fact, the world, if you ask me. And how do you fix it? Because you can't change people's minds, but you can change people's cultures. Change the culture. Humans first. Humans first. Lead with love, right? What else I want to talk about? I was going to talk about something. I was going to talk about that dude, Bannon. How he talking about he ain't finna go testify. They calling you. I just watched this documentary on HBO. I forgot what it's called. It's about the Capitol riots. What happened in January 6th, man. And they give it HBO. They don't cut it. They give you they gave you insight on what really happened. It's crazy what really happened. And this dude Bannon, he was on his podcast. He got a Breitbart. He got a newspaper called Breitbart. Had one or something like that. He's real out there. Conspiracy theorist kind of guy. But anyway, he worked in Donald Trump's war room, helped him get elected. But they said the day before January 6th, he was on his podcast talking about it's going to be a wild night in Washington. Get ready. There's some stuff going on. Like he had inside information on what was going on. Like he knew what was going on. And they want to find out. And 9 Republicans stood up and said, yeah, we want to find out too. Shout out to them dudes. Come on, man. It's scary. And once again, I don't really like Joe Biden, so don't act like I'm over here like some super liberal over here, because I ain't that. I don't even like Joe Biden. Real talk. I respect him for being president. For the record, I used to like Donald Trump. Didn't respect him as a president. But I liked him on The Apprentice. Who didn't like Donald Trump? You're fired. You know what I'm saying? He was funny. He was a good dude, man. That a birthday thing with Obama. When after that, I was like, man, this dude got a problem. Let's go with the birth certificate thing. He improved it already. He's going to let go. The White House correspondent dinner. Obama went at him. He was like, I got to come back at you. So that's my thing. Anyway, I'm going to get up out of here. That's just opinion, that dude. You know what I'm saying? Oh, no. Trump ain't going to go to jail. He'll get in no trouble, man. It's going to be what it is. He's trying to run for president again. He was just here in Des Moines a couple weeks ago. Chuck Grassley, the senator here, went down to the fairgrounds and greeted Trump. And how you going? I remember when the Capitol riots happened, Chuck Grassley was saying that was a disgrace, and he was trying to talk like Trump had something to do with it, right? But now you up there, you greeting him here in Iowa. Y'all down there with the Trump flags and all that stuff. How you call yourself a patriot if you standing with this dude after watching what happened? Unless you say it didn't happen, right? Because that's what you don't want to talk about history. If you pretend it didn't happen, if you say it didn't happen enough, maybe people believe you. Is that what was going on? Because I can see it, right? You can see it. If you can see it, ain't it real? If I can see it with my eyes, what they call it, lion eyes. Who got lion eyes? I ain't got no lion eyes. My eyes on line, right? I'll get out of here, man. Chuck Did It, Don't Stop comes up next. Shout out to my man, Hall of Famer, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, inductee Chuck D. You know what I'm saying? Come up next here on 89.1 FM here in KHOY, Ames, Iowa. Once again, shout out to Ames, Iowa State winning that game today, football. That was dope. Tune in next week. I will be here. I didn't get some guests up in here. I'm going to talk. We got to get some. This COVID is like, it's getting to me. Anyway, y'all stay tuned. Chuck D next. Peace.
Watch over my niggas gone so the way he living, you won't be able to see tomorrow. And we on fire out of it.